friends, my co-workers, and the society in which I live with conviction and hope.
I take this pledge fully aware that the struggle to eliminate racism will not end with a mere pledge, but calls for an ongoing transformation within myself and the institutions and structures of our society.
I pledge to look deeply and continuously in my heart and in my mind to identify all signs and vestiges of racism.
To rebuke the use of racist language and behaviors towards others.
To root out such racism in my life and in my encounters with persons I know and with strangers I do not know.
And to expand my consciousness to be more aware and sensitive to my use of overt and subtle expressions of racism and racial stereotypes.
I pledge to educate myself on racial justice issues and share what I learned in my own communities.
Even if it means challenging my family, my partner, my children, my friends, those I encounter on a daily basis.
I pledge, within my means, to actively work to support public policy solutions that prominently, openly, and enthusiastically promote racial justice, equity, in all aspects of human affairs.
I pledge to actively support and devote my time to YWCA Princeton, as well as other organizations working to eradicate racism from our society.
YWCA Princeton is on a mission to eliminate racism and empower women. I join YWCA in advancing justice today and every day until justice just is.
You just saw a powerful example of community storytelling and the importance of sharing your voice. Let's keep the storytelling going. I'd like to introduce Darlene Narawadon, Equity Coordinator at YWCA Princeton, to tell us a bit more about the Until Justice Just Is student competition. So, for Darlene.
Hi, my name is Darlene Navaridam, and I am the Equity Coordinator here at YWCA Princeton. I am proud that at the YW, we're not only inviting you to be a part of the conversation, but lead the way. This April, we put a call out to the high school students of Mercer County. We wanted to empower their voices and give them an opportunity to be heard. We asked the youth to answer the question, what does Until Justice Just Is mean to you, and how can we take action daily to make justice a reality? So I am excited to announce our favorite winner from the competition. The staff here and I have been anxiously watching the results, and has been a battle between Peyton and Jayla with over 1,000 votes cast. With voting happening right now until 3:30 today, I am happy to announce that our winner for the fan favorite competition is Jayla Hernandez.
Spanish translation of Until Justice, Justice. Growing up bilingual, I had trouble grasping what certain phrases or words meant in English and Spanish. Constantly switching between both languages at home and at school made me develop a habit of asking what a translation of Spanish to English was, or vice versa. Naturally, when I was first prompted with what Until Justice, Justice meant to me, I immediately translated it into Spanish, then it hit me. The ongoing struggle towards justice is demonstrated through the phrase Until Justice, Justice. It emphasizes the discontent within communities who have seen progress, but the downfall of this said progress regarding justice and equality. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence was adopted by the Continental Congress on July 4th, declaring themselves the United States of America. Under the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, it states that all men are created equal. But in 1776, the word men didn't even mean all men. It excluded all men, all women, and all men of minorities, meaning only white, rich men who could and did own property were created equally. Everyone else was discriminated against in silence. Hence, the amount of discrimination and racism minorities deal with due to this foundation laid. Although we have made progress, and we should always highlight the progress made from the civil rights movement, abolishment of slavery, women's rights, and birthright citizenship, our fight for justice and equality unfortunately didn't end there. It can be seen when only one person is charged, pulled over, questioned, when only one certain person is stared at and accused in a crowd of hundreds. Unfortunately, as of 2025, many are still dealing with racism and discrimination. Some people are born with darker skin and some lighter. Because their skin has less melanin, they get treated better, or because of the texture of their hair. People pick and choose what is acceptable and perfect for them, leaving us to wonder, why can't we be enough? Although our progress has been declining after coming so far, we shouldn't give up. We have to make it known that our strive for justice isn't enough, and we aren't going to give up anytime soon. We can't sit and watch in silence for the next 4 years in misery and injustice. As families are being torn, people are losing basic rights, women are silenced, education is no longer being funded, and so much more. It can be a scary feeling, as if we have no control over what happens to us or others. But the truth is we have more power than we think. We have a constitution to protect us, and we have to remember it. Even if people are trying to hide it in plain sight, especially remember the Bill of Rights, which states our rights. The very first one states that we have the freedom of speech, press, petition, religion, and assembly. We are not powerless, and we have to use our power to advocate about things that are wrong and unjust. Even if it doesn't primarily affect us today, it may tomorrow. One of our strongest tools we have today is used for more than schooling. It can be used to advocate and support others. Even if it is making a post or reposting one, it's a great and effective way to spread news and educate. A great strategy for spreading awareness and attention is through trends and hashtags. Friends and followers will join in, then friends and followers will join in, as it starts to become a trend, helping movements grow. A simple search on Google or Safari can go a long way, whether it be to educate yourself or finding countless organizations putting in their time and effort in order to make a change. A local one would be the YWCA Princeton, and a non-local one would be ILRC, which is Immigrant Legal Resource Center. You can make donations or ask to volunteer doing many different things. We cannot let ourselves be defeated in silence. Even if injustice doesn't directly affect us, one day it may. We can't wait until it's our turn. Today is the perfect day to make change, and so is tomorrow and the day after that. We have made a lot of progress from being segregated against to being accepted. Now we are facing a lot of racism and prejudice. We cannot allow our progression to decline. We must keep pushing forward. So until justice, we must continue to fight for it every single day.
been established. It was during this decade that our advocacy efforts started to take shape in meaningful ways that would leave a lasting mark on our organization and influence YWCAs throughout the rest of the country.
I'm very committed and still committed to really collaborating with other entities because we can't do this work alone. You know, it does take everyone to get on board and supporting, you know, our mission and seeing how we can make change throughout the community and eliminating racism.
Collaborations with the former YWCA Trenton, Princeton University, and Not in Our Town created space for dialogue about racism and bias through film screenings, panel discussions, and conversations with peers.
Sometimes we do grow up in communities that are not diverse, and you know, our knowledge of others is based on what we read or what we get from the, you know, the media, and doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily accurate. So you want individuals who are concerned about the world in which we live in and how we treat people and how we think about people that are not like us, to be able to come to a space where they can voice their opinion. There's no right or wrong. And it's important for the facilitators or facilitator to create that space, and so that the participants understand that they don't have to be afraid to say something or to ask a question.
The legacy of Stand Against Racism is such a prideful one at YWCA Princeton. And throughout the 10 years of the program, being able to bring in other organizations, I think that speaks beautifully to how it has grown to now be not just Princeton, but the greater YWUSA network. And in addition, it's not just a one-time event. We're moving to 21-day challenges. This year, USA is doing Until Justice 4-week program. So while the program expands in timeline, I think it's a great reminder that Stand Against Racism is not a one-time thing. It's not a one-day thing. It is a continuation of a programming and a thought process as well.
People care about this issue, and they care about how people are being treated. Because I think they care about how they want to be treated. And if you care about how you want to be treated, then you care about how you treat others as well.
Announce our student competition winners.
Hello everybody, as Will just said, I'm Karen. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer here at the YWCA. I would be remiss in my position if I couldn't mention that if you love our t-shirts that some of us are wearing, our 4 words, peace, justice, freedom, and dignity. They're on sale for $15 a piece outside, and Dusty would love you to buy one. It promotes us, but also promotes our mission. And did I just turn it off? Drop the mic. And besides the t-shirts, we have some upcoming events we'd love you to get involved in. They all support our mission. We have our yard sale, our community yard sale. You can become a vendor if you have things you would like to sell. Or you just come to shop. I'm not sure which one is working. Thank you, John. So that's on May 17th, and we're having it because Mayor Frida told us we had to have another one, and we showed up at the one last August. It was an amazing community event to learn a lot about what we do, but also raise a little bit of funds and also promote recycling and offer some great items for a low price for community members. And then we have our Firecracker 5K, which supports our scholarship programs here for our Burke Early Childhood Education Center. And 45% receive portion of scholarship to attend, at least a portion. And so that 5K is now at Veterans Park on Sunday, June 8th. So you can grab one of the flyers on your way up if you want more information about those. And so while we're here tonight, we received some outstanding submissions, and narrowing it down to just 3 was not easy. A special thank you to our sponsors of this competition, Pizza Den, great pizza. I highly recommend them. So if you're hungry on your way home, grab some pizza. And the Nash family. I would also like to thank our panel of judges for helping us make this decision. Kim Dorman, Community Education Coordinator at the Princeton Public Library. Chantel Kennedy, who is a middle school counselor at the Hun School of Princeton. She was unfortunately unable to come tonight, but she sends her regards. Lance Liverman of the First Baptist Church of Princeton. He is also unable to come. And who you heard perform earlier, Taylor Piggott-Stokes, Freedom Planner for Mercer County Corrections. Thank you very much. All right, so we have our 3rd place winner. I don't believe that he is here tonight, so I'm going to have Darlene read his entry. Our 3rd place winner is Michael Best. Michael's essay gave not only... we know Michael, but he's not here. So you can tell him, we'll take a picture of his check just sitting here. A first-hand account of his own thoughts on the prompt, but also spoke to how he creates a more just society in his school and for his fellow students. Congratulations to Michael. Darlene's going to come up and read that. Woo.
Okay, Michael's piece was titled A Journey of Self-Awareness and Activism. I witnessed the cultural impacts of racial injustice in my community in Trenton, New Jersey while growing up. I heard about Black communities' resilience and struggles through the media, and I actively participated in Black Lives Matter movements and school assemblies that demanded justice. I did not undergo racial injustice myself, but I heard about it and witnessed it around me while growing up. Black politics were a common topic in my household, especially since Barack Obama had become president a year after I was born. However, despite all the exposure to great leaders through movies and social media, I did not fully understand their impact until I took the initiative to educate myself. This has led me to reflect on the importance of equality and justice, and more importantly, on what we can do on a daily basis to ensure that the world becomes a more equal place. The media has an important part to play in shaping our definition of justice and injustice. The Black Lives Matter movement, which gained prominence in the wake of the unfortunate loss of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor, has brought to light the cruel reality of institutionalized racism. Social media has amplified the activists' voice and provided a platform for individuals to tell their stories, raise funds, and mobilize for change. These protests have also brought about discussions in schools, workplaces, and homes, challenging people to acknowledge the fact of racial injustice and begin working toward the solution. Breonna Taylor's murder, in particular, underscored the issue of police brutality against Black women, further fueling demands of accountability and systemic reform. Growing up in Trenton, New Jersey, Black politics was always a topic of discussion at my house, shaping my understanding of racial injustice and the resilience of Black communities. I remember my family discussing the significance of Barack Obama's presidency, not just as a moment in history, but as a symbol of hope and progress. My parents also frequently discussed what his leadership implied for Black Americans, how much he faced difficulties, and with what kind of resistance he faced. It gave me a glimpse that representation counts, but doesn't suffice alone, that actual change does not occur, but constant efforts are necessary. Other than Obama, my family had discussed systemic racism in the sense of school prison pipeline, police brutality, and economic inequality. I recall heated debates about Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and the Black Lives Matter movement. Those moments reminded me that justice is not always guaranteed, and it is my responsibility to stay informed, to speak up, and to raise my community. Those debates did not just inform me, they also fueled my passion for activism, challenging me to act within my school and in the world outside to fight racial injustice. fighting for justice and amplifying Black voices within my school community means taking action so that history can be fully reviewed and represented correctly, and creating space for honest dialogue. I am committed to advocating for inclusive curricular changes that put the work of Black leaders, activists, and scholars at the forefront. Through organizing events such as panel discussions and cultural festivals, I help create a platform on which Black students and teachers share their experiences and opinions. I also help with clubs and initiatives that promote racial equity, be it through mentoring younger students, collaborating with teachers to include diverse literature, or bringing important issues of society on campus. By actively being a part of these initiatives, I am helping to create a more just and diverse school environment where Black voices are not only heard, but also respected.
So our second place winner, I believe is not here as well, is Area Zao. Area, we were blown away by the detail in your artwork and the story you told. So this was an artist piece. In Area's artist statement, she added, "Real change begins when we stop demanding proof from the oppressed and start demanding accountability from the bystanders, including ourselves." Congratulations, Area. This is Brigitte coming back. She's going to read the artist statement.
Okay, Aria's piece is entitled Gaze. And this is the statement she submitted in addition to her piece. Justice is often treated as a broad and universal idea, but in reality, it's shaped by power and perception. My work wants to showcase how judgments, especially those made from positions of privilege, can inflict harm. Inspired by the film named Let the Bullets Fly, where a man being falsely accused of eating 2 bowls of noodles when he only paid for one, is met with silent and cold gaze from bystanders. In desperation, he cuts open his stomach to prove his innocence. It is a gruesome metaphor, but I felt deep sadness and connection of it in the concept of until justice just is, as it mirrors how minority groups are forced to perform visibility just to be believed. I use fish as metaphors for people trapped in the gaze of others, and show the gaze through the most literal symbol for them. Eyes. People's justice depends not only on truth, but on who. This piece hopefully could raise awareness in people. Before we judge, we must ask who defines justice, whose stories are heard. Overall, a just society cannot exist when marginalized voices are forced to carry the unbearable burden of proof. Black victims of police violence expected to justify their own suffering, survivors of sexual assault interrogated rather than believed. Justice requires actively rejecting passive complicity. The silence of the privileged will not do change to discrimination. I hope the statement with my piece can make the invisible visible and challenge viewers to move from witness to ally. Real change begins when we stop demanding proof from the oppressed and start demanding accountability from the bystanders, including ourselves.
Congratulations to Aria. We will make sure to let her know. And our first place winner brought some of our staff members to tears when we first read this piece. It was raw, emotional, and gave us hope that youth are moving in the right direction. Many of us have not been able to stop thinking about the piece and hope that the artist will publish it in the near future. Here she is to perform another. Yes, you should know Ash. Your eyes better. She can't was on her Mallory, but she did not believe. She's going to perform Stand Up, but if you would like to also sing your poem, you could also sing that too, or we can read it. We didn't know if it was a poem or a song, but
please read it.
Okay, you have it.
word. I had gone to the Dodge Poetry Festival for a field trip a couple years back, and I heard so many wonderful Black voices at the open mic. A lot of youth and adults as well just expressed their sentiment about the current political state. And I had originally come up with a poem called Be Real, and it was in a more of a I guess sonnet sort of form. So this prompt was really drew me to expanding on my other poem, and so I wrote it so that I could say it. So thank you so much. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I learned to exist. In rhythm, in code, in counts that meant safety, counts that meant don't speak too fast, don't speak too loud, don't say what you really feel about them or us or you. I was raised in neighborhoods where the streets were quiet, where trees arched like polite elbows and everyone waved but never really saw us, where whiteness was the air I breathed, thin, clean, filtered, where I learned to live with my voice toned down and my curls pulled back, and still I always knew I was Black. Sure, my family cheered me on, commended my mom for getting me a proper education. But what had I learned about myself beyond what the world reminded me? Whispers in school hallways, security glances in department stores, and the way teachers lowered their voice when talking about poverty as if they assumed it lived in my backpack. And then came my queerness. The soft part, the light, the language of in-between, another thing to tuck in, another beat I had to master, so I could move through right spaces without breaking their tempo. But I also knew joy, real, whole joy, found in the corners of church pews and cookouts, heard in the pitch of Black laughter, in the drums of backyard music, and the boldness of pronouns said with pride. And then Trump, that rust-colored mirror of America. He didn't invent injustice, he only gave it a mic. He turned whispers into chants and chants into policies. He made racism bold again, made cruelty a campaign strategy. Made people I thought I could trust say things with their whole chest. But the truth? America was never broken. It was built this way. Stacked like bricks on top of stolen land and stolen bodies, every system from courts to classrooms was designed to keep justice out of reach for folks like me. That's what until justice just is means to me. It's not a slogan, it's a longing, a demand, a heartbeat that doesn't skip when police lights flash. It's when justice isn't a fight we show up for, it's the floor that we walk on, without fear without proving we belong. Until justice just is, means I don't have to explain why I matter, why my queerness isn't a threat, why my skin isn't probable cause, why my existence isn't political, it's just existence. So how do we get there? How do we build the road to just is? Start close in, not with just marches, but with your mirrors, with your bookshelves, with your jokes, with your hiring practices, with who you trust, with what you decide to assume. Justice starts with how we show up daily, how we refuse to let equity be an event instead of a habit, in the way we listen, really listen to people who don't sound like us. It's asking who's missing from this table and then scooting their own chair back to make space. Justice is letting kids be kids without treating them like criminals before they even know how to spell it. It's making sure that trans youth get to grow up without fighting for the right to exist on paper and in person. It's knowing equity isn't giving everyone the same thing, it's giving people what they need to thrive. And thriving looks different depending on where you stand, depending on the shadows you've had to outgrow. So no, I don't want to be free in a world that only gives me freedom with conditions. Not if it means I can die any day for jogging, for breathing, for existing at the wrong time, in the wrong body, with the wrong lover. I don't want justice that arrives late and leaves early. I want a justice that is always. That doesn't need explaining. That just is. Until then, we work, we speak, we love fiercely, we teach, even when we're tired. We create art that cuts through the noise. We show up for each other when the world shrinks around us. We do this daily, not because we're hopeful, but because we're here. Because we must. Because the future isn't coming, we are the future. Writing itself in every step we take towards that horizon where just us finally becomes justice. 1, 2, 3. I am here. I am whole. I am holy. And I'm not going anywhere. I thought the best sound for this moment would be Stand Up. It's from the movie Harriet, and it's actually a song meant to portray the life and journey of Harriet Tubman and her fight for the abolition of enslaved Black Americans. Pretty recently, only a couple centuries ago. So, yeah. If you could stop with me, that would be great. I just want to get a vibe of the room. I'll set the tune.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, passion and freedom. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but Lord knows I tried. Sure, stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. 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 Hey!
to the winners. There was so much great competition. Everyone that submitted should be immensely proud of themselves for taking the time to use their talents to speak out for justice. And I'd like to welcome Brigitte back to the stage.
Alright, it's time for me to get on my soapbox, everyone. Thank you. You will see the flyers at your chair when you first came in. Our work does not end here tonight. It does not end with Standing Against Racism. We sense that evening hearing from youth and seeing their passion to create a more just society. It is now our turn. On each of your flyers, you'll find a chair with WYWCA Princeton's legislative priorities and a reminder to vote. We encourage all of you to let your voice be heard. Write, email, or call your representatives to remind them that they work for you and you are happy to hire them. Please know that your vote is your voice, and I sincerely hope that you all feel empowered enough after tonight to use that voice and that vote. So I know that I see you all at the voting booth, not just in November, but in June as well, when we vote in our primaries. Not just for president, but your state assembly as well. Mayor Frida, you're up for this year. This New Jersey governor's race will be a turning point for our entire country. For those of you that do not know, there are 2 states that elected governor this year. It's us and Virginia. And New Jersey has become a swing state. We cannot let history pass us by. So I'm going to say 2 dates. I want you to remember them. June 10th is the primary. November 5th is election day. Continue to speak out for change, for the things that matter most to you, and know that your vote and your voice are the most powerful tools that you have. Shameless plug, I do our website. If you scan the QR code on the flyers, you will find that we have resources on making sure your registration is active. Once primaries are done, we will have info sheets on our top candidates. And my high school students can attest, while I love voting, educated voting is the key. Don't just vote because, oh, my husband likes this person, my boss likes this person. No, voting booths have curtains for a reason. Use your voice, use your vote. And here is Taylor with a performance to remind us of the history of our country.
I really enjoyed this program. Please give another round of applause for all the individuals who work for the topics surrounding justice until justice is. First, before I give the final performance, I want you guys to know there was a trigger warning. Okay, there was a video that's going to complement the lyrics to the song that I'm going to sing. Okay. I'm going to leave you guys with something. I wrote a piece called We Got the Nightmare, We Got the Dream. And the piece touched on the clashing of cultures of individuals who come to this country to chase the American dream, a dream that is not realized by people that look like me. And this program, I was sitting and listening to everyone, and I was asking myself a question, which I think you all should ask yourselves. When you leave out of here, you guys took a pledge, you participated, but justice is an ongoing, everyday thing. So what are you going to do, right, moving forward? At any point, if necessary, will you be willing to stand in the way for someone, right? Some of us, most of us in this room are privileged, right? And I think to a degree, we have to be willing, if we're going to move things forward, to put our privilege on the line. Because there is a visceral response often when talking about the trauma of our history, with there never being a point of healing. The U.S. government has never adequately addressed the gross human rights violations perpetrated against Black people in this country as part of chattel slavery. or the exploitation, segregation, and violence unleashed on Black people that followed. The discrimination against Black people, there is a legacy of enslavement persists and is perpetuated by economic, health, education, law enforcement, and housing, and other policies and practices that fail to adequately address racial disparities. Part of the ongoing structural racism and racial subjugation that prevents many Black people from advancing and facilitates police violence, housing segregation, and a lack of access to education and employment opportunities, among other things. So, when I'm singing this song, when you're watching this video, I want you to think about the perpetuation of these things and the trauma, the generational trauma that's been passed down, that persists without there ever being a point of healing. And what will you do to try to help stand in the way? And exercise patience when it comes to making sure we continue to promote justice. Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the street that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land. With sweat and their hands, but you'll die in this place, and your memory erased. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
I just want to shout out all the beautiful talent here tonight. Taylor. Thank you all for being here tonight, for showing up, sharing your voice, and for taking a stand against racism. I am proud of each and every one of the high schoolers represented here tonight. The future is in good hands, and we are going to be the ones that continue this fight and stand against racism. So please, feel free to stay, mingle, and connect with one another. And I wish all of you guys a wonderful night. Thank you.
I know, 'cause I saw your Facebook feed. I can still make it. Hello. How are you? How are you?